Today on our 2017 Coachmen Pursuit, we're going to be taking a look at and also showing you how to install the SumoSprings Maxim custom helper springs for the rear axle. Part number is SSR-184-40-1. Now the spring itself is constructed of a microcellular urethane. This is a very resistant material to all of the things that the spring is really going to be subject to heading down the road, whether it's road salts, oils, gases, or even UV rays if they happen to come up. It won't cause any damage or any issues with the performance of our spring. Now this has been designed, as you can see, to work in pretty tight areas. We have the tires off now, but those are going to be right here. When this is compressed, it has very little expansion. So even in tight areas, we don't have to worry about it getting damaged or getting pinched. It's designed to expand, you can see here is about as far as what it will expand to 50% of its original size, or 50% more of its original size. What this does, it provides a link from this point of the frame down to the suspension of the axle. So this is also helping to reduce that sway that we talked about. Now these are also very good for helping to support the rear suspension on our RV. They have a 3,000 pound capacity. Now that doesn't mean that we're increasing the ability or capability of our rear suspension 3,000 pounds. It just means that it's taking that kind of pressure off the rear suspension, which is going to help these leaf springs out a lot. We're not putting so much pressure on them. They're going to last for a much longer time with this support installed. Now as far as the installation process goes, you'll have a few holes to drill here on the frame. Pretty easy to do with the tires off. And then you'll see our custom bracket here, just simply going to bolt around our lower spring pack. We've got our custom bracket here, designed to go in. Now on some models, on older models, there's already a hole here at the bottom location. Anything I think from 08 on, you're going to have to drill out all 4 of the holes, and you'll have to do that on each side. But again, not a big deal. Now the Sumo springs are going to install on both spring packs, and they're designed to work independently from one another. So if we have more weight on one side of the coach than the other, this one's going to be taking more pressure, so it gives us more support there. The other thing that's going to do is it helps out with sway. Sway or body roll is when the top of the RV tilts side to side. When we have a connection point from the frame to the spring on both sides, when one side compresses, the other side expands. So the Sumo spring on the side where it's expanding wants to pull back and wants to bring the body back in position, while the one on the opposite side would be banding back, trying to get the RV in its original position, and that's going to kind of lessen that side-to-side movement you're going to experience. Now, something I like about the Sumo springs when comparing them to, I think what would be most close to this kit would be an airbag kit. Now with an airbag kit, they're going to install about the same way, and you're going to have kind of the same performance, but these are completely maintenance free. At no time are we going to have to check for air leaks, add air, or change the amount of air in our springs to accommodate. All of that's going to be done automatically as we load the RV. Now we can take a look at our RV in use. Before our Sumo spring installation, as we take our corners, you're going to see that body roll side to side. Just one of the characteristics of driving an RV. It's something that we often get complaints about. With the Sumo springs installed, not only are we taking a lot of the pressure off the rear suspension, which you'll notice as we go over our bumps or hit a few potholes here in the lot, but it's also minimizing that sway as we're taking our corners. You see, we're not experiencing the body roll that we had previous to the installation. Now we're going to begin by pre-assembling both sides of our Sumo springs. We're going to show you one side here. We've got our upper plate. That's going to match up with the holes on the top side of our Sumo spring. You see, just like that. We'll take our serrated flange bolts. These are going to go down inside. And we'll snug those down and torque them. And we can flip that over. Now we're going to grab our lower bracket. You can see it's got a single hole in it. Now we want to be sure that the kind of that gate area or that notch is towards the front of our vehicle. You can identify which side is going to be the front. We're assembling this for the passenger side. Our flanges are going to be put in there secure. These are going to go right up against the frame. So just make sure that the tab sticking out is towards the rear. And we're gonna square this up with this edge right here. We want these to be running parallel with each other. Once we have those lined up, we'll get this snug down. All right, now we're ready to set it in position. And we'll take our assembly. We want to place it. Again, we want the gate or that gap to be towards the front. You see the little hook here that goes right around the back side of that forward U-bolt. That's pretty much going to be the position. So we want to get our base secured first. We'll show you how to do that now. Now, as you can see, we've removed the tires. This is going to give you the space that you need to actually get in here and work. And to start with, we want our axle to be hanging. Once we have our base secured, we'll bring that axle back up. We can level out our Sumo springs and drill our holes. Our lower bracket has a lower clamp portion to it. This is going to go around the bottom side of the spring. We're going to attach it with our carriage bolts. So we'll get those slid in. Bring that down and around. Then we'll put our bracket with the flat side up on the bottom of those bolts. Now we're going to place one of our locking flange nuts in the bottom there. Now if you notice on yours that the keeper for the brake cable here is in the way, there's a 13mm bolt right here. If we remove that, we should be able to bring that cable back so we can get to that nut. And just double check. Want to make sure that hook is right up against the back side of the U-bolt, and we'll get these tightened down and torqued. At that point, you can return your keeper if you needed to remove it. Then we can head over to our driver's side, and we'll do that exact same thing to get it in position. With both sides installed, we're now going to determine where this lower hole needs to be. So we want to go mark the center of that hole, just like that on both sides. And then we need that line to be 4.5 inches down from the top of the frame, which will put us right there. So let's get both sides marked. Now we're ready to start gently lifting the axle until both of those match up. We want this to come to here and the one on the front to match the mark we've made on the front. Now that mark should also be, as you can see, about 4.5 inches up from the bottom of the frame as well. Overall, we've got 9 inches, so we're trying to split that right in the middle. Now you'll notice our lines, while our rear matches, the front's still off a little bit. Because our Sumo spring is going to sit like this. We'll have to kind of just edge that bracket back a little bit. So it looks like if we get them both about the same distance, we still need to go up about 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch. So we'll continue to bring that on up. All right, there you see both of our lines are matched up. Now using our bracket as a template, we'll start drilling out our holes. Now we're going to use a 27/64 bit. And of course you want to just kind of reach in there and check and make sure there's nothing behind that that's going to be damaged if you happen to accidentally drill in it. And we'll get that drilled all the way through. Now with our holes drilled out, we're going to take our larger hex head bolts. We're going to pass that through both of our holes. And then we're going to put our locking flange nuts on the back side. Now we'll use our 9/16 inch rinse and socket and get these tightened down. Now we're going to go to the hole above that on both sides. We're going to get our 25/64 hole drilled in there. We're going to put the same style bolt and nut on there to secure it. Now with everything torqued down properly, it's a good time to get the tires back on, and your RV is going to be ready for use. And that will complete our installation of the SumoSprings Maxim custom helper springs for the rear axle, part number SSR-184-40-1.